Welcome to another OCD Recovery Instagram Live. I'm going to be talking today about WhatsApp groups and why they are so significant, why they are a game changer in OCD recovery, and the problems with them, the good and the bad, and why they have to be moderated very strictly. So, let's have a look at my own story to start with. I was once in a group myself, not a WhatsApp group, but in-person group support. Now, until I saw other people talking about my fears with their mouth, not in message on a computer, but speaking, and seeing that they had what I had, okay? That they had the fear, which at the time I was terrified I was a murderer, that they had that fear of being a murderer, and I could see that. Now, until then, we only had forums, so there wasn't a real sort of communication at that time of what people had, how people were doing. So for me, the closest I could get was a support group that what I was seeing face to face. Now, obviously, if a WhatsApp group had existed where I could have seen people individually and then seen them in a Skype group chat, that would have been fantastic because it would have provided the same situation where I could have seen my problem. Now, then there comes the next part. That group was vital to me because I was going around thinking I'm the only person. I am the person with this disorder who's committed a terrible crime. There's no way out of this. No one like me. Everyone else is got OCD. Mine's real. Theirs isn't. Theirs is just OCD, and that went on for a very long time. Now, when I set up our WhatsApp groups and Skype video group calls, I did it to make a community where people didn't feel alone. Why? Because on my list of things that are the most likely things to lead to people feeling very depressed and alone is being alone. Feeling very depressed is usually from being alone, feeling like there's no support, feeling like nothing's working. That was one of the main reasons. The other main reason that I didn't like was that it was often very hard to get hold of people when you wanted for help or someone to reach out to. So that provided that network for them to be able to do that. And I knew that when I did that would be a sort of a game changer because it would allow people to instantly connect with other people that had the same sort of OCD or variations of OCD, realize they're not alone, and understand they've got support if, in the middle of the night, they're having their first panic attack or they're running to go to the doctor to ask for reassurance. Other people in support can go, maybe hold back a bit, or, oh, okay, you're going through a panic attack, this is a bit of advice, and so on. A support group. A tight community that empowers each other along the journey to OCD recovery. Now, my WhatsApp groups, Facebook groups, Skype groups are all people that really, really, really want to get better. This is not the old forum community, which is still rampant, and in the Facebook group community and so many other Facebook groups, where there is rampant reassurance and constant talking about how bad it is having OCD without a plan to get better. So that is often seen. Now, in relation to WhatsApp groups, they have to be moderated. We use little emojis in there, which are police officers that are called reassurance police that I put in there to watch when reassurance is happening and to moderate it the best possible. And when people join the groups, it is of course encouraged that you don't just dive on them all the time when you need them, but you use them for fun, socially, and you use them when you need them. But you have a responsibility of your own where you go, okay, being a bit compulsive, need to pull back, okay? So to watch that and to get a balance. So these groups have been vital in doing that. They have saved many lives. They have saved many people feeling alone. They provide a vital platform for people trying to get better. WhatsApp and technology has pros and cons, the same as the internet. There is pros and cons of the internet. Somebody can speak fiercely against it. Someone can speak fiercely for it. At the end of the day, there's positives and there are negatives. Now, one of the negatives is that a lot of people who don't know very much about OCD do set up support groups, and they have little wisdom. And then they have a support group that's sharing their small amount of wisdom that's going around the group, and it's a cycle of not very helpful information. They are not moderating it because they do not know about that, and reassurance is rampant. This is seen in forums, this is seen in WhatsApp groups. This is like with anything. There are good therapists, there are bad therapists. There are good coaches, there are bad coaches. We see that. Now, what is vital is to take the things that look at the bigger picture and take the things that are good and look at the things that are bad, and they have to be weighed up. When I built the WhatsApp groups, I really looked at what the benefits were. If I thought that it was a very bad idea or it had a lot more negatives than positives, I wouldn't run them. I run them because I can see they have a significant impact on OCD sufferers' lives. I have quite a lot of WhatsApp groups that have a lot of people in them. And those people are building friendships with people that have OCD, are navigating through their life struggles with the people they have, their friends and people that they know that have OCD in those groups, navigating through life struggles in those groups. And what I've realized about those groups is actually I would like to see a world where everyone was in one of those groups for normal human life. Human WhatsApp groups where you share stories of the local community or anything in those groups, but on a deep level, which it never gets to that depth. I can see the contrast straight away whenever I look at a WhatsApp group with my friends versus a WhatsApp group with OCD. My friends with great laugh and great friendship in the groups, and there is some depth because they're pretty rational, but it doesn't have anywhere near the depth of those groups. Those groups are people that are sharing their stories of the difficulties they're struggling on their day-to-day basis. They're saying things like, I just had a panic attack. It was my first panic attack. I'm really scared, guys. And then someone else is like, hey, I've had a panic attack. Do you know what? It's a bit like this. And then they go, oh, really? Oh, my God. Or someone said, I'm going to the doctor again. No, you should really hold back. Rob said that it's not a good idea to keep going to the doctor. Yeah, I know, but I think this is real. And just little support like that. Little support in the groups. Or someone who's alone with POCD, doesn't want to tell anyone about POCD, and then someone's in there who's open about sharing their story about POCD, and they're like, wow, that's changed my life. Lives are changed by shared stories. One of the most important things I encourage with all the stuff I do for OCD is sharing recovery stories. Recovery stories are what I never used to see in the OCD forums. Full of negative stories. People got better, left the groups. So I wanted to make sure that recovery stories or recovery journeys where the person is improving but not there yet are out there constantly. Why? Because it provides a positive mindset of where you want to go in the future. That's what they're there for. And that is exactly the same as the WhatsApp group. Any time of day, you'll see a positive story. Hi, I just had a great day today. I just went through my university. I haven't been anxious at all. I'm so glad that I've been feeling like that. Empowers somebody else. So these points make a significant difference. I want to see more WhatsApp groups. I want to see it obviously encouraged, but it needs to be by people who really understand OCD. Otherwise, like with forums, how many forums have you got? How many Facebook groups have you got where somebody just sets up a Facebook group who's just started therapy, they haven't got that much knowledge, it's a rampant reassurance. You've got to run these things effectively. If you don't know how to run them, they become a problem. Very few people do. There is many forums and many Facebook groups ran by therapy centers, ran by mental health organizations, that are rampant of reassurance. You've only just got to go in them and you'll find it. I know because I was in them. And that's why I didn't want that to ever be the case with the ones I run. Forums, unless you really, really understand what reassurance is, it gets missed. The same as therapists, coaches that do not understand reassurance, it gets missed. it's easy to miss it because it comes in various forms that if you don't know what to look for, it gets through. I could pick out hundreds of pages on Instagram, on social media, that are by coaches, by therapists, by organizations that are covered in reassurance. Why? Because it's not always that easy to spot. So you have to be super aware of it. Now, at the same time, OCD is a doubting disorder, which means that people doubt everything. And one of the things that the problem here is we get extra scared also with things when we think things, oh my God, I've been reassured. That's so terrible. A bit of reassurance now and again, unless it's causing a massive cycle, is not the end of the world. I could reassure myself checking the tap for 3 times just because I got in the cycle briefly. That's not going to do much damage to my life at all. If you're constantly going in there all the time, doing reassurance, checking, excuse me, can I ask the same question again? Excuse me, can I ask the same question again? That's going to be a problem. But a small bit of reassurance is not the end of the world. Now, hold on. I am not advocating reassurance. If you follow my page, you'll see I'm strongly against reassurance, and I say to treat it almost like a drug addiction where you want to not go into reassurance at all. So that is the first point. But not to be so terrified of it, that if you just do a bit of it by mistake, it's the end of the world. It isn't. We strongly try not to, but it's not the end of the world. That's important too. Acceptance of that, the same as we have to accept being anxious. Because the main driving fear here is, what if I'm scared for the rest of my life? What if I'm so terrified I can't get out of that cycle and I'm just constantly stuck anxious for the rest of my life? That is a large part of the problem. Fear of being stuck. And then, oh my God, I've got to quickly stop everything. We often think, like if we did, like say for example, I was in a forum and I accidentally asked a reassurance question. It's not the end of the world. It happens, okay? You'll ask doctors by mistake a reassurance question, not realizing you were doing it. It's not the end of the world. But overall, we've got to try and stay within the guidelines of not doing it. Okay, let's have a look at any of these specific questions. I'm not going to cover too many questions on this one today. I'm actually not going to cover a lot of these questions are relating to how to bring up to my doctor that I'm dealing with pure OCD and not just anxiety. I'm afraid he won't believe me. Well, that's the reason I'm not going to cover a lot of these questions is because they're very specific themes. Is Puro more tough to treat than physical compulsions? I want to leave those for individual Instagram lives where I'll be covering those specific themes. So I can go into those in a lot more detail. I don't want to do them today just because there's too much to cover on it, and I've still got a few things that I just wanted to mention on that topic. I think one of the important things to remember with anything that you use on the internet, whether you use a Facebook group, whether you use group support or anything, is to always think, what are the people like that are in your group? Are they empowering your life? They say we're the sum of 5 people that we hang around the most in a lot of things that we do. And that's very true. If we surround ourselves by people going in a more positive direction, it empowers us and we follow those habits. And that is very, very, very much the case for OCD. You want to be in groups where everyone's empowered. That's why the recovery groups, I call them, so that it's people who want to get better, people who want to make sure that they are positive in the direction of getting better from OCD. You don't want to be in groups where everyone's just negative. Everyone's like, I don't see any hope at all. Oh, there's no way I'm going to get better. Oh, just don't even bother trying. Because that is not going to be a place you want to be. You want to look and think, right, are the people in the group empowering me? Am I learning things? Is this group supporting me? Is the person running this group appear to be knowledgeable on OCD? Am I feeling better since being in this group longer? Have I learnt things and gained from this? Those are the kinds of things you want to focus on. I think that's very, very important. Whichever group you're in, whether it's a charity-run forum, whether it's a big organization-run OCD Facebook page, anything, think, is this him helping me? Am I finding the people in here supporting me and in a positive direction, and am I gaining from this? Now, that doesn't mean gains like reassurance gains, which often is very easy for a lot of people who use those forums to think, oh yeah, I had a great February last year because I thought I had cancer and that person told me they had the same symptom. That's not the plan. You want people that are teaching you how to go down that recovery journey. And I think that's absolutely, absolutely vital. I think that covers everything that I wanted to cover today on groups, on WhatsApp groups, on forums. And of course, please join our Facebook group, which is the OCD Recovery Group. Or if you want to join our WhatsApp groups or our Skype groups, just DM me on this account. And I look forward to participating in those groups and talking to you all about your OCD recovery journeys and what's involved in helping out there. I get in all the groups regularly. I get in there myself and I talk to people. And there's lots of people in there that are real sort of veterans of the anxiety world that have a really good wealth of knowledge, helping so many people in there. So they're great too. And I specifically have encouraged a lot of those people to really participate and really help because they've got such a wealth of experience. And that's so great. You know, I learned some amazing things from forums in my OCD recovery journey. There was, again, these sort of veterans of the anxiety and OCD world that had some great wisdom. And that's what I'm always looking for. You want to pick your groups and your forums based on the wisdom in there. Whenever I was in a forum, I would always make sure it was somewhere where there was a lot of wisdom. And I knew certain ones that were, at the time, going back 13 years ago, there was some big sort of organization-run health anxiety ones that were just rampant, full of reassurance. And I loved those initially because they gave me what I want. And they were my favorites until I realized how OCD operates and everything about it. And then that certainly was not. And that was probably for a period of maybe 2 or 3 years during my struggling, where I was aware I had OCD, but I wasn't aware of how to get better. And also, I think I was in quite a few of those forums at the time when I didn't know I had OCD, even though there would have been an OCD section, because I just didn't really consider what I had OCD. I considered my stuff to be real and a real concern. All right, guys, thanks for checking out this Instagram live. See if there's any last questions. People in my group chat are amazing and empower me every day. Thank you very much, Jade. Juafrid is a character in the group I have to watch. He's always taking the piss out of me, making a lot of jokes, but an amazing inspiration to the OCD community in India with dystonia and OCD, carrying on with Ironman, marathon, everything. That guy is an inspiration. Coming from that situation, he is always humor in the groups. And, you know, I know Juafrid very well. And he's always said to me, I remember when he was at a very low point in his life, he was suicidal, and he said to me that one of the things that kept him alive was all the humor that we had in the groups and so on. That was vital to his own life. So I think that's very important to remember. I always try and make all the groups fun. I always like to speak to people real, just like how I speak to people I know on a real level, so that we connect with each other. It's not speaking like through a brick wall where I'm sort of not having any interaction. We have a laugh, we talk about life, we speak like that, because that's what life's about. It's about connecting, feel real. We spend our whole life with OCD feeling completely separate to everything else, the rest of the world. So in the group, the one place, we want to make sure that we're connecting and feeling real, making friends and seeing different people with OCD. That's what it's all about. He's contributed so much to the groups and OCD. Well done, Juafrid. Such an amazing from Jade. Yeah, it's absolutely true. Juafrid, you've been fantastic in there. All right, guys. Great to see you all. I'll see you at the next Instagram Live.